Hello, Internet. It's time to read The Battle. We have even more company than normal, so I have to be extra quiet because they're just right out there as opposed to a couple of walls away. So I'm going to have to do a low energy voice. Let's get all cozy as we read First Kings, chapter 3, verse 3, chapter 4, verse 34. Um, the lowest energy voice I can think of. Which means basically I could do Kermit, I could do Pooh, or I could do Joker, which is weird that those are the three like softest voices I can think of. It's gonna be Solomon, which is just Kermit Solomon is funny to me. I've done Kermit a few times. Yeah, we get tired of Kermit. Now Solomon loved the Lord and followed all his father David's instructions, except that he continued to sacrifice in the hills and to offer incense there. The most famous of the hilltop altars was at Gibeon, and now the king went there and sacrificed 1,000 burnt offerings. Mhm. The Lord appeared to him in a dream that night and told him to ask for anything he wanted, and it would be given to him. Solomon replied, "You were wonderfully kind to me, my father David, because he was honest and true and faithful to you, and obeyed your commands. And you have continued your kindness to him by giving him a son to succeed him. O Lord my God, now you have made me the king instead of my father David, but I'm as a little child who doesn't know his way around. And here I am among your own chosen people, a nation so great that there are almost too many people to count. Give me an understanding mind so that I can govern your people well and know the difference between what is right and what is wrong. For who by himself is able to carry such a heavy responsibility?" The Lord was pleased with his reply, and was glad that Solomon had asked for wisdom. So he replied, "Because you have asked for wisdom in governing my people, and haven't asked for long life, or riches for yourself, or the defeat of your enemies, yes, I'll give you what you asked for. I will give you a wiser mind than anyone else has ever had or ever will have. And I will also give you what you didn't ask for, riches and honor. And no one in all the world will be as rich and famous as you for the rest of your life. And I will give you a long life if you follow me and obey my laws as your father David did." Then Solomon woke up and realized it had been a dream. He returned to Jerusalem and went into the tabernacle. And as he stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, he sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings. Then he invited all of his officials to a great banquet. Soon afterwards, two young prostitutes came to the king to have an argument settled. "Sir," one of them began, "we live in the same house, just the two of us, and recently I had a baby. When it was 3 days old, this woman's baby was born too, but her baby died during the night when she rolled over on it in her sleep and smothered it. A terrible tragedy, but then she got up in the night and took my son from beside me while I was asleep, and laid her dead child in my arms, and took mine to sleep beside her. And in the morning, when I tried to feed my baby, it was dead. But when it became light outside, I saw that it wasn't my son at all." Then the other woman interrupted, "It certainly was her son, and the living child is mine." "No," the first woman said, "the dead one is yours, and the living one is mine." And so they argued back and forth before the king. Then the king said, Let's get the facts straight. Both of you claim the living child, and each says that the dead child belongs to the other. All right, bring me a sword. So a sword was brought to the king. Then he said, divide the living child in two, and give half to each of these women. Then the woman who really was the mother of the child, and who loved him very much, cried out, oh no, sir, give her the child, don't kill him. But the other woman said, all right, it will be neither yours nor mine. Divide it between us. Then the king said, give the baby to the woman who wants him to live, for she is the mother. You can do that with many things today. The person who wants to destroy something probably doesn't love it. Just general, I would say a pretty general standard there. So maybe something like Democrats don't seem to love America. They would rather it be destroyed. Maybe they don't really care. Maybe the women who want all these abortions don't really love children. A lot of things that might be suitable for this wisdom. I am not Solomon, and I am not God, so they would know better than me. But just a thought that popped into my head. In any case, word of the king's decision spread quickly throughout the entire nation, and all the people were awed as they realized the great wisdom God had given him. Here is a list of King Solomon's cabinet members. Azariah, son of Zadok, was the high priest. Eliareph and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha, were secretaries. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was the official historian and in charge of the archives. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was commander-in-chief of the army. Zadok and Abiathar were priests. Azariah, son of Nathan, was secretary of state. Zabud, son of Nathan, as well, was the king's personal priest and special friend. Ahishar was manager of palace affairs. Adoniram, son of Abda, was superintendent of public works. I don't know why any of that is necessary for me to know, but it's in the book, so I guess it is. There were also 12 officials of Solomon's court, one man from each tribe, responsible for requisitioning food from the people for the king's household. Each of them arranged provisions for 1 month of the year. The names of these 12 officers were Ben-Hur, famous Jewish name. I don't remember what for off the top of my head, for it's been a long time. Anyway, Ben-Hur, whose area for this taxation was the hill country of Ephraim. Ben-Decker, whose area was Makaz. Sha'albim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon Beth-Hanan. Ben-Hesed, whose area was Aruba, including Saka and the land of Hefer. Ben-Abinadab, who married Solomon's daughter, the princess Taphath, and his area was the highlands of Dor. Ba'ana, not banana, Ba'ana, son of Ahilud, whose area was Ta'anak and Megiddo, all of Bethshean near Zarethan below Jezreel, and all the territory from Bethshean to Abel Meholah, and over to Jokmeam. Then there was Ben-Geber, whose area was Ramoth Gilead, including the village of Jair, the son of Manasseh, in Gilead, and the region of Argob in Bashan, including 60 walled cities with bronze gates. Pretty impressive. Ahinadab, the son of Iddo, whose area was Mahanaim. Ahimaaz, who married Princess Basemath, another of Solomon's daughters, whose area was Naphtali. Baana, again, a different one. This one is the son of Hushai, whose areas were Asher and Baaloth. And another Jehoshaphat, son of Peruah, whose area was Issachar. Shimei, son of Elah, whose area was Benjamin. Them dang Benjaminites. Anyway, I really should stop. It's still a tribe of Israel, and it's been quite a while since that particular thing occurred chronologically, I believe, in the story. It's been already, the time of no judges is past, and Saul's time is past, and David's time is past, and we're in Solomon now. So hopefully they've turned around by now, but I don't know. So I'm going to continue to be a little upset at them every time it comes up. Really, that story really pissed me off. All right, moving on. Geber, son of Uri, whose area was Gilead, included the territories of King Sihon and of the Amorites and King Og of Bashan. A general manager supervised these officials and their work. Israel and Judah were a wealthy, populous, contented nation at the time. King Solomon ruled the whole area from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines, and down to the borders of Egypt. The conquered peoples of those lands sent taxes to Solomon and continued to serve him throughout his lifetime. The daily food required for the palace were 195 bushels of fine flour, 390 bushels of meal, 10 oxen from the fattening pens, 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep, and, from time to time, deer, gazelles, roebucks, and plump fowl. That is a lot of food. How on earth do you eat 10 oxen in a day? Those things weigh like a ton of meat every day. Impressive. I mean, I assume the flour and such is a lot too. I mean, 100 sheep and 20 cows. How on earth? How many people were in that freaking palace? I'm sorry, this has stunned me. I'd never noticed this quantity before, or just kind of glanced over it. But like, how freaking big was Solomon's palace? I, I, I'm trying not to drop character, but it's just kind of boggling the mind. I'm just a simple swamp, you know. That's my idea of a palace. Give me a banjo. Anyway, moving on. His dominion extended over all the kingdoms of west of the Euphrates River from Tifsa to Gaza, and there was peace throughout the land. Throughout the lifetime of Solomon, all of Judah and Israel lived in peace and safety, and each family had its own home and garden. That's nice right there. I would like my own home and garden. Well, maybe not a garden. I'm not much of an outdoor. You know, if someone gave me a free garden, included with a home, I would take care of it, despite my general aversion to such things. Moving on. Solomon owned 40,000 chariot horses and employed 12,000 charioteers. Each month, the tax officials provided food for King Solomon and his court, also the barley and straw for the royal horses in the stable. God gave Solomon great wisdom and understanding, and a mind with broad interests. In fact, his wisdom excelled that of any of the wise men of the East, including those in Egypt. He was wiser than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Herman, Calcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol, and he was famous among all the surrounding nations. He was the author of 3,000 proverbs and wrote 1,005 songs. He was a great naturalist, with interest in animals, birds, snakes, fish, trees. I wonder if he had any interest in frogs. Just a thought. It'd be nice to be mentioned. I mean, snakes got a special mention. So, animals in general, birds, and snakes as a reptile, and fish as a fish, but no amphibians. What's the matter, Solomon? You green with envy? Anyway, indeed. From the great cedars of Lebanon down to the tiny hyssop which grow in cracks in the wall, he liked the trees. And kings from many lands sent their ambassadors to him for his advice. Well, that was, it was like very plain but very interesting. Just the obviously a lot of the proper names mean absolutely nothing to me, but it's kind of neat to see how he divided up his responsibilities between the various departments is kind of similar to what we do today. And all these various important people, not so much important to me, but the food thing really stunned me. That's a lot. Miss Piggy couldn't even hork away that much. And yeah, I guess that's all that's come to mind. If you have any thoughts on Solomon in this passage, write it down in the comments. In any case, we move on to Acts chapter 6, verse 1 through 15. But with the believers multiplying rapidly, there were rumblings of discontent. Those who spoke only Greek complained that their widows were being discriminated against, that they were not being given as much food in the daily distribution as the widows who spoke Hebrew. So the 12 called a meeting of all the believers. We should spend our time preaching, not administering a feeding program, they said. Now look around among yourselves, dear brothers, and select 7 men, wise and full of the Holy Spirit, who are well thought of by everyone, and we will put them in charge of the business. Then we can spend our time in prayer, preaching, and teaching. This sounded reasonable to the whole assembly, and they elected the following: Stephen, a man unusually full of faith in the Holy Spirit; Philip, Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, Nicholas of Antioch, a Gentile convert to Jewish faith who had become a Christian. These 7 were presented to the apostles, who prayed for them and laid their hands on them in blessing. God's message was preached in ever-widening circles, and the number of disciples increased vastly in Jerusalem, and many of the Jewish priests were converted too. Stephen, the man so full of faith in the Holy Spirit's power, did spectacular miracles among the people. But one day, some of the men from a Jewish cult of the freedmen started an argument with him, and they were soon joined by Jews from Cyrene, Alexandria in Egypt, and the Turkish provinces of Sicilia. Oh, and Ossia. But none of them was able to stand against Stephen's wisdom and spirit. So they brought in some men to lie about him, claiming they had heard Stephen curse Moses and even God. This accusation roused the crowds to fury against Stephen, and the Jewish leaders arrested him and brought him before the council. The lying witnesses testified again that Stephen was constantly speaking against the temple and against the laws of Moses. They declared, "We have heard him say that this fellow Jesus of Nazareth will destroy the temple and throw out all of Moses' laws." At this point, everyone in the council chamber saw Stephen's face become as radiant as an angel's. End scene. I kind of wish it went a little further, honestly, but that's fine. Moving on to Psalms, chapter 126 from verse 1 to verse 6. When Jehovah brought back his exiles to Jerusalem, it was like a dream. How he laughed and sang for joy. And the other nations said, "What amazing things the Lord has done for them." Yes, glorious things. What wonder, what joy. May we be refreshed as the streams in the desert. Those who sow tears shall reap joy. Yes, they go out weeping, carrying seed for sowing, and return singing, carrying their sheaves. Good times. Then finally we have Proverbs for today, chapter 16, verses 26 and 27. Hunger is good, if it makes you work to satisfy it. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Idle lips are his mouthpiece. I don't think I've ever heard the second part of that proverb. I hear the devil's hands, idle hands are the devil's playthings / workshop before. I didn't know there was a part after that, idle lips are his mouth, because we're talking about hunger. So if you're working to feed yourself, that's good because it keeps your hands occupied. And if you're eating from the product of your hands, that's good because you're not speaking nonsense, is how I understand that second part. Although I'm welcome to other interpretations. If you have a better idea, please say it in the comments again. I'm just. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this reading. Hopefully I did a good job as Kermit. I think I did a pretty good job. No, he's pretty. I think I have a pretty good grasp of Kermit's voice. In any case, I've said that too much. I need a different transitional phrase. Can't get boring, or else people lose interest. I suppose that's pretty self explanatory as well. So, I'll just end here with my usual thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the passage and ratified it, and as always, God bless.